I get it when you're staring at a line of floor scrubbers in a warehouse aisle or the storage room of a busy restaurant. The pressure to pick the right one is real. You're thinking about the hours you'll spend pushing it around, the water you'll waste, and the money you'll shell out for a machine that might just sit idle if it's not the right fit. That hesitation is exactly why I wanted to break this down before you hit add to cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through the Viper AS5160T walk-behind automatic scrubber and see if it actually solves the problems you're facing, or if you'd be better off looking elsewhere. First off, this isn't a tiny handheld unit you toss onto a countertop. It's a full-size, walk-behind machine designed for medium to large commercial spaces. Think cafeterias, gym floors, small warehouses, or any high-traffic area where a mop just can't keep up. The biggest question most buyers have is whether the size and power of this scrubber justify the cost and whether the extra features actually translate into time saved on the floor. In my research, I found a lot of people who bought smaller units and ended up re-scrubbing spots because the brush path was too narrow, while others bought huge industrial scrubbers that were overkill for a 2,000 square foot space and ended up struggling with storage and maneuverability. The Viper tries to land in that sweet spot, and here's how it plays out in real life. The first thing you notice when you turn it on is the intuitive control panel. It's not a wall of cryptic icons. You get a clear hour meter, a battery capacity readout. Even though this model doesn't have a battery, you can see the charge level of the charger and simple speed controls. For someone who's not a mechanical engineer, that simplicity means you can get the machine up and running in under 5 minutes, even after a quick walkthrough of the user manual. In a busy environment, that quick startup time translates directly into less downtime between shifts. Now, the brush and pad driver can be uninstalled automatically. What does that actually mean on the floor? Imagine you're cleaning a section of polished concrete that needs a soft pad rather than a stiff brush. With many scrubbers, swapping the head can be a two-handed, wrench-requiring operation that forces you to stop the whole cleaning cycle, clean up the mess, and then get back to work. The Viper's automatic release mechanism lets you pull the driver out with one hand, swap the brush or pad, and lock it back in place without needing tools. In practice, that reduces the time you spend on tool changes by at least a few minutes per shift, enough to keep the workflow smooth when you're moving between different surface types. The traction drive version, designated AS5160T, includes a speed-reducing gear system. This isn't a flashy feature, it's a practical one. The gear reduction gives the machine more torque at low speeds, which is exactly what you want when you're tackling thick grime or a sticky spill. I've seen users on similar machines struggle because the motor spins too fast and the brush schemes over the mess, leaving residue behind. With the Viper's gear drive, you can crank down to a crawl, let the brush do the heavy lifting, and still maintain steady forward motion. The trade-off is a slightly slower top speed, but in most commercial settings you're not racing across the floor, you're methodically cleaning it. Water handling is another area where the Viper makes a claim, a 16-gallon tank paired with a 31-inch squeegee made of heavy-duty cast aluminum. In the field, the tank size determines how often you have to stop, refill, and empty the wastewater. A 16-gallon capacity gives you roughly 30 to 45 minutes of continuous cleaning on a typical office floor before you need to pause. That's a decent window for most daily cleaning runs. The squeegee's design is meant to pick up water efficiently, reducing the amount of residual moisture that can cause slip hazards. In my conversations with facility managers, they pointed out that machines with smaller squeegees often leave puddles that need a second pass with a mop, something you definitely want to avoid in high-traffic zones. Let's talk about the practical weaknesses. First, the machine is fairly heavy, weighing in at around 200 pounds. You'll need a loading dock, a pallet jack, or a sturdy dolly to move it from storage to the job site. If you're a small business without that kind of equipment, the initial logistics can be a hassle. Second, because it's a walk-behind unit, you need a clear path to navigate. Tight corners or narrow aisles will force you to turn the machine around manually, which can be a bit cumbersome. Finally, while the control panel is user-friendly, The machine does not come with a built-in battery pack, meaning you have to keep it plugged into a 10-amp charger whenever you're not using it. That's fine for a fixed location, but if you need